Hello once again, guys. I am here, your Miss Merle, to tackle a lesson about values. Guys, do you value values? What are they? Values are basic and fundamental beliefs that guide or motivate attitudes or actions. Values help us to determine what is important to us. Values describe the personal qualities we choose to embody to guide our actions, the sort of person we want to be, the manner in which we treat ourselves and others, and our interaction with the world around us. Values provide the general guidelines for conduct. So, values, it is a broad preference concerning appropriate or proper courses of action or outcomes. It is a reflection of a person's sense of right and wrong or what ought to be. It is a personal belief, very individualistic belief about the worth of a given idea, custom, attitude, or object that set standards that influence behavior. So values in a narrow sense is that which is good, desirable, or worthwhile. Values are the motive behind our purposeful action. They are the ends to which we act and come in many forms. Personal values are personal beliefs about right and wrong and may or may not be considered moral. And so we also have cultural values, which are values accepted by religions or societies and reflect what is important in each context. So values formation. So how are values formed? So values formation is an understanding of the values and often begins in earliest childhood and is really hardly totally influenced by the way a child is raised. And the character of parenting influences what kids come to value as adults. So parents are really the influencers of the children. So how are values formed again? Value formation is the confluence of our personal experiences and particular culture we are intertwined in. Values are imposed from our family in childhood and reinforced through culture and life experiences. Usually, the parents are the first people to have an influence in a child and their values. Always remember, a good-mannered person is always loved, respected, and welcomed everywhere by everybody. Good manners are acquired more by observation. Take note, by observation rather than by formal teaching. Right from childhood, a toddler will imitate his parents. It is therefore necessary that parents are alert because children, like monkeys, imitate what their parents do. And these days, most of the parents have one or two children and they tend to be too indulgent with them. Parents must themselves be an example of good behavior for their children. And good manners again are not taught through formal teaching. They are acquired more by observation. It is therefore imperative that parents are very cautious, since kids are very smart and observant. Whatever the parents do or talk, they mimic their parents. You must have noticed that children generally speak in the same tone and manner in which their parents speak. Good manners are not taught through formal teaching. Again, they are acquired more by observation. The parent should not give too many instructions to the kids, rather allow the child or the children to learn from the manners rather than lecturing or moralizing them. And next is values clarification. This one is more of a process of self-discovery that aids in allowing a person to gain insight into his values, and to better articulate one's point of view. It will be helpful to clarify one's own value, because a values clarification again is the process of defining one's values. By clarifying our values, it helps to guide us in our daily activities and helps to align what we say with what we do. After someone has clarified his or her values, they should be able to quickly name the values held most dear. And we have modes of value transmission. So how values are being transmitted. So the first one is we have modeling. So I will be providing the description, and then we have the implications. So here, children initially wish to be like their parents for the implication. So because of modeling, like here the parents are the models. Persons act in a way to show others the preferred way to behave, and people acquire or get values from a variety of role models. But not all role models like influencers are good, or the things that are doing are fine. Some really are doing the immoral ones. Please remember that. So we should you as a parent, for example, should be very keen on what your kids are watching, what videos are being watched by your kids at home. And then please remember that modeling may not lead to socially acceptable behavior unless parents should point out the most desirable values. Children can follow any role model, right? Next, we have moralizing. So here, the teachers in school, the parents at home hold standards for right and wrong. So the key figures here are the parents and teachers, and these figures rigidly force the children to follow or conform to their sets of values. And the implication of this kind of value transmission or mode of value transmission is this approach can be very authoritarian, it's authoritative, and here moralizing parents may be unwilling to consider alternative values for their children. With this approach, one way is often the only way, and young persons reared by moralizing adults often have difficulty with making independent choices. They become to be really dependent on their parents or their guardians. So I think if you'll ask me, I don't like this kind of value transmission. Like someone is really authoritative and you need, if one thing is not done properly and then there's a punishment or something, oh, I can't live with that. And then next is we have laissez-faire. So people acquire or get values by behaving informally without restrictions or limitations. So there's too much freedom. There's no intervening authority to the actions of the kids or the children. So no one value system is right for everyone, and children form values without parents' rigid guidelines. So parents here are not really like parents. They don't give guidelines on proper behavior. So here, parents want children to be free, Why? To explore a variety of life experiences. Here, the kids are encouraged to be inquisitive and learn from experiences. And the thing is, children may refrain from discipline, so they may not want to be disciplined. And a limitation, take note, a limitation of this mode of value transmission is that no one assumes the responsibility for their children's behavior, and conflict and confusion may arise if children have no direction, right? We also have this one, responsible choice. So the balance of freedom and restriction. So I prefer to have this one, responsible choice. There's freedom and there's also restriction, allowing children to select values that lead to personal satisfaction and parental support. Children's choices are more limited as compared to the laissez-faire approach. So the implication is here values are not strictly imposed by parents. As children choose values, parents, other family members, and teachers permit them to explore within boundaries, new behaviors, and their consequences. Take note, within boundaries, so still there is restriction. And then children who can freely discuss their behavior and its effects, they will learn to understand their own values. So if you are giving the kid to discuss their behavior, they will understand what are the values that they hold dear. And we also have this one, reward and punishment. So offering rewards for certain valued behavior serves to control behavior. When children fail to assume certain behaviors, parents administer punishment in this mode of value transmission. And for the implication, using rewards can be a positive approach to strengthen positive values, and punishment may teach that violence is acceptable. So this one is the drawback. And we also have essential values and behaviors. So let's start with altruism. So it is the concern for the welfare of others, and the attitudes and personal qualities under altruism include commitment, compassion, perseverance, and caring. And so let's go back. What is altruism? It is the unselfish concern for other people, doing things simply out of a desire to help, not because you feel obligated out of duty, loyalty, or religious reasons. It involves acting out of concern for the well being of other people. And in some cases, these acts of altruism lead people to jeopardize themselves to help others. See, such behaviors are often performed unselfishly and without any expectations of reward. Other instances, known as reciprocal altruism, involve taking actions to help others with the expectation that they will offer help in return, which I don't like. And we also have examples of altruism. So every day, life is really filled with small acts of altruism, from holding the door for strangers to giving money to people in need. News stories often focus on grander cases of altruism, such as a man who dives into an icy river, for example, to rescue a drowning stranger, or a donor who gives thousands of dollars to a local charity. But some examples of altruism can include like doing something to help another person with no expectation of reward, foregoing things that may bring personal benefits if they create costs for others, helping someone despite personal costs or risks, and sharing resources even in the face of scarcity, and showing concern for someone else's well-being. So the professional behaviors associated with altruism is giving full attention to the client when giving care or service, and assisting other personnel in providing care when they are unable to do so, like helping their nurses for sometimes in the wards, and then expresses concern about social trends and issues that have implications for healthcare. We also have equality. So equality is on having the same rights, privileges, or status. So why is equality so important? Because good equality and diversity practices make sure that the services provided to people are fair and accessible to everyone. They ensure that people are treated as equals, that people get the dignity and respect they deserve, and that their differences are celebrated. And personal qualities and attitudes linked to equality are the following. You have assertiveness, acceptance, fairness, and tolerance. So you are manifesting equality if you are providing care based on the individual's needs, irrespective of personal characteristics. If you're interacting with other providers in a non-discriminatory manner, so you don't discriminate people, and you express ideas about improvement of the profession and healthcare, that's imposing equality in the workplace. Next, we have aesthetics, so qualities of objects, events, and persons that provide satisfaction. This one is more on the appreciation on something beautiful and clean. There's creativity, there's imagination, and sensitivity to others. So if you are adapting the environment so that it's pleasing to the patient, so you are imposing aesthetics. You're creating a pleasant work environment for yourself and for others. There is no gossiping, so that's aesthetics. And if you are presenting yourself in a manner that promotes a positive, image of the profession, so that's aesthetics. We also have freedom. So freedom is understood as either having the ability to act or change without constraint, or to possess the power and resources to fulfill one's purposes. It's the capacity to exercise choice. So synonymous to confidence, independence, openness, self-direction, and self-discipline. So the professional behaviors include if you are honoring an individual's or patient's right to refuse treatment, you're giving the patient freedom. If you are supporting the rights of other providers to suggest alternatives to the plan of care or laboratory testing to be undergone by the patient, you are allowing the patient to exercise freedom. And if you are encouraging open discussion of controversial issues in the profession, we also have human dignity. It is the right of a person to be valued and respected for their own sake and to be treated ethically. It is of significance in morality, ethics, law, and politics. So it is the inherent the worth and uniqueness of an individual. It's more on empathy, humaneness, kindness, respectfulness, and trust. So if you are safeguarding the individual's right to privacy, if you are addressing the patients as they prefer to be addressed, like the pronouns they wanted to be called, and if you're maintaining confidentiality of clients and staff, and you're treating others with respect regardless of the background, you are exercising human dignity. You are allowing the patient to exercise human dignity. And then we have justice. So behind the concept of justice lies the notion of balance, that people get what is right and fair and appropriate. An example of justice is someone being set free from prison, and after DNA evidence shows their innocence. See, that's justice. So we're upholding moral and legal principles. And then, if you are acting as a healthcare advocate, you're allocating resources fairly and reporting incompetent, unethical, and illegal practice. So you're not turning a blind eye on the mistakes and the illegal practices of your coworkers. You are employing justice. And we also have truth or faithfulness to fact or reality. This is the property of being in accord with fact or reality. In everyday language, truth is typically ascribed to things that aim to represent reality or otherwise correspond to it, such as beliefs, propositions, and declarative sentences. Truth is usually held to be the opposite of falsehood. So professional behaviors that must be done so that truth can be upheld, we can uphold the truth. So documentation, the patient care accurately and honestly, obtaining enough ample data to make sound judgments before reporting infractions or organizational policies, and participating in professional efforts to protect the public from misinformation about the profession, the medical technology profession. So we also have, we will be discussing only two philosophical constructions or constructs. We have Leonology, which is associated with the works of Immanuel Kant. So it defines the actions as right or wrong based on their right-making characteristics such as fidelity to promises, justice, and truthfulness. So it locates the essence of right and wrong within these principles. And specifically, it does not look into consequences of the actions to determine the rightness or wrongness. However, it critically examines or tries to see the situation for the existence of essential rightness or wrongness. If an act is just, respects autonomy, and provides good, then the act will be ethical according to deontology. And the last slide is we have utilitarianism, which is a theory of morality that advocates actions that foster happiness or pleasure and oppose actions that cause unhappiness or harm. When directed toward making social, economic, or political decisions, utilitarian philosophy would aim for the betterment of society as a whole. So the purpose is that proposes that the value of something is determined by its based on the usefulness or utility. That's utilitarianism. It is also known as consequentialism. So the main focus, the main emphasis is the outcome or consequences of the outcomes or consequences of the actions. So we have teleology from the Greek word telos, meaning end of the study or ends of final causes, which was proposed by John Stuart Mill. So these philosophical constructions, the greatest good for the greatest number of people is the guiding principle for determining the right action in the system. That's all, and good day and enjoy, and please don't forget to answer your assignment about this topic. Bye-bye.